The trajectory is looking pretty good. We've doubled all of our business, if not tripled some areas. Retail program's gone up 1,500%. Like last year was
fantastic,
astronomical.
Some of the players we talk to, and culture seems to be a huge thing, something that's changed a lot for the last few years.
100%. There's accountability too. Cultures, we took one of the greatest comebacks of all time down in Canberra. But at that time, if you remember, a game at half time, you're up by 20, it wasn't enough. But we heard that rumour, and I'll call it a rumour, that where it first reared its head, I won't source, but it was completely false. So we were cautious, and yeah, it's going to go up a little bit, but we're up 27% in the first few months of the year. So particularly when not everything's dropped.
Welcome to Pack Mentality, the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs podcast and show. We chat footy, mindset, life inside the pack. I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Eastgate from West Fence Creative. I'm Matt Attard. We're very lucky to have Aaron Warburton, Bulldogs CEO.
Good to be here,
How are you?
Yeah, very good. It's
Excellent.
exciting. I've seen you guys working on this for quite a while now, so it's good to be here and looking forward to it.
Wonderful to have you. First guest, very exciting. Just came from the AGM. Tell us about that.
I did. It was it's always a good event, and they sometimes go for an hour, 2 hours. This was a big one. Went for over 2 hours, and we had a few hundred members in the audience. We submit an annual report at the back end of 25, which basically sums up the season from all the nuts and bolts, highlights, all the numbers, the financials. But then this is the meeting to sort of close out 2025. So much as we love talking about it, and look, I'm happy to keep talking about it here and there, but 26 was definitely the focus at the back end of it, and what the next year /2/3 will look like. And yeah, all in all, a great event, and they roll around nice and quick.
Fantastic. Anything from it that you can let us know? Anything that you revealed, or everything was pretty sweet?
It was anything and everything. There was obviously talk of the trial, there was talk of logo, there was talk of our performance, our crowds. We literally touch everything, and it's as I said, there's nothing that we hide, in the sense at the end there's questions and there are a few extra things that popped up. And yeah, we've always been that way, open book, and what we can and can't share, we're pretty clear with that. And there's a couple of things, but Gus was there. He spoke really positively around just what he's seeing and feeling at the club, let alone pathways and performance and coaches. And he's worked as hard as everyone has at the club. And yeah, our chair, Adam Drusey, he runs the event. It's a tight ship, and we survived another one.
Sounds good. Big turnout, was there?
Yeah, there was almost, we prepared for 400 or thereabouts. We're in the new showroom at the League Club, and it was almost full.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, before we get into some footy chat and the trial last night, we'll talk about pack mentality, and the idea behind pack mentality. Obviously, is we're going to focus a bit on mental health. It's a big thing. It's affected us all. I know it's affected me. It's affected you, Aaron, as well, and your family. So, the idea behind the pack mentality is you kind of got a pack that backs you, and you got mates you can talk to, family that you can talk to. Yeah. When things get tough mentally for you, not just footy in the office, but life in general, family stuff, life and what it throws at you. Yeah. Who do you talk to? How do you deal with that? And what would you say to someone that's struggling?
Good question. Look, even though I reflect on myself, we can all talk more. Like it'll be right. We'll get through it. And I try my best, like anyone, to be really diligent with my plan and what my schedule looks like, and setting realistic goals and targets, so that I'm always understanding where I'm heading. Particularly with the club that is forever growing and has a number of people. But I guess for me, it's like not pretending you're perfect either. So I've got, and this is, I can say this now versus 5 years ago, where I tried to do everything back in 2021. I'll fix this, I'll fix that. And then you start hiring some good people, and you start understanding strengths, weaknesses, and it's okay to not know something, even as the CEO, to sort of say, okay, I brought you in for a particular reason. You tell me why. That's and I'm learning. And so I think there's no one answer to that question, but for me, it's just mindset and just being a bit more honest, being more planned, being a little bit more, clear in my communications. Like, if you don't tell someone something, how are they going to know? You can they'll pick up on cues and whatever else. People are busy; they've got their own problems. So if you to better, I'll talk about my situation. I try to talk about challenges before they hit you,
before they get too overwhelming.
Before they get too overwhelming, and it's easy for me now, easier now, because I have that team. And I talk about the analogy of I can actually go on holidays for a couple of weeks because I can breathe and I can relax. Versus a couple of years ago, one, I couldn't do it, and then two, I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't, but now we've got good people, and that's, I think, like anything, your family, your friend group, is just, and I feel we talk about being good at that, but are we actually, are we doing that? And time's flying by, and we're all busy and we're all whatever, but how good is it picking up the phone and checking in on someone and having a chat, and you blink and it's half an hour later and I better go and whatever else. But it's just making those conscious decisions to do, not just say.
And there's no shame in it, is there? And we've been hearing that for years.
No,
There's
not
no
at
shame
all.
in having a chat. And you know what, I'm happy to say I did it with Aaron a few weeks ago. You know, I was in a pretty bad spot, and I reached out to Aaron, and that's how you get through it.
And you, like you said, you wouldn't know. Everyone, like, your life's busy, and you've got so many people to think about in your own family. So even just a text out of nowhere.
That's all, I reckon that's the best way through something, is just throwing it out there, and then you'd be very surprised, because they're your friends for a reason, right? They're not just here when they need to be and whatever else. And that's and I like it, the pack mentality. It's a lot of synergies with the Bulldogs. The pack, the Bulldog, every team has their own ways of helping their men, their women, but you know, it's so important. Our wellbeing team's 5 strong now. It was 2 when I started. You know, you work 5 divided by the couple of hundred, still probably not enough. Like we've got to build that support network around our club, our team. Every family situation is different. Every kid we receive has come from some kind of different background. It's a challenging environment, but as I said, just talking more like this, it's a huge head start.
For sure. And let's talk about the growth in the club as well before we chat about the trial last night. But you mentioned, you know, you've grown that kind of space from 2 to 5. I'm guessing everywhere else in the club's also grown in a huge amount from the last few years. When you first started, you know, you've gone from kind of patching holes to building something sustainable, something that's, you know, strong and reliable now. How did that go about?
It was prioritising, and there was no, like, I remember coming back to the club, and first of all, and still to this day, this club can be the biggest club in the game, and everything we've done over the past 3, 4, 5 years, the trajectory is looking pretty good. We've doubled all of our business, if not tripled some areas. So that didn't come by just, you know, doing things the same way and expecting different results. It was basically I wouldn't say, we had to break down the business to rebuild it. So it wasn't just, all right, we're starting to rebuild. Like any rebuild, you got to dig deeper and build some new foundations and actually start plugging away. And we did that, and I don't want to overcomplicate that either. That was just, this club has, you know, 90 years of history now, 85, 86 before. Let's leverage that, but start thinking like a startup. Like let's have some fun with this, because we can. It's got 9 years of learnings, failures, premierships, but who here in this room, and this was the chats we were having around, let's do it our way. Let's make it fun. Let's engage everyone we can. And if we fail, we fail. We just fail quick. Get back up. And memberships doubled. Ticketing. If you got to a game last year, you felt what it was to be a Bulldog back at a core stadium, and huge crowds.
Great atmosphere.
So all that, the crowds, the memberships, corporate, our community, our digital program, I'm really pleased, but I'm almost, all right, I'm happy, but what's next? And that scaling of the club is probably the most exciting part around what 26 through 2030 has for me.
Yeah, a lot of growth that you mentioned there with memberships and numbers and things around that. Are those the main standout growth sectors?
Yeah, it's you got, for me, if I break it down, you got football part of the business is front and center. Everything we do is about being a successful football club. It has to be. Nothing more profitable than winning football games. But our commercial and our community side of our business, which sort of are the other, I guess, pillars, they're the drivers. One makes our money, one reaches more people to do good. We're a not-for-profit. We play in that space where every dollar we make, we put straight back, similar to our league club. So commercial and community are everything. 320 odd days a year we're not playing rugby league. We're a football club. That doesn't make sense, right? So how do we engage? How do we provide value? But selfishly, how do we grow our base, our supporter base? And winning games, like I said, helps. But everything else we do around the fringes, particularly the fact we're pretty lucky we're known as the community club, as the family club, but we're consciously aware that's a pretty big sort of thing to hold, where if we don't know what that means, how do we deliver a program over 3, 4, 5 years and look back and say we did a good job, as opposed to just keep saying we're the family club, we're the community club. So we've worked extremely hard with our junior league clubs, our community programs, schools. And that's, as I said, I'm almost looking, this is the new norm now. So everything we've come from, and yes, 16,000 to 32,000 members, on track for 40 this year. Our commercial program's tripled. Our retail program's gone up 1,500%. Like last year was
fantastic,
astronomical. But it's, for me, again, that's the new norm.
Yep.
What does it look like? How do we double again?
And you just try and keep building on that.
And it's not even being sort of cocky or anything. It's like, that's the Bulldogs. That's we've got that ability. Our competitors on the field, great. We talk and listen to our competitors off the field to learn, but we do it our way, and it's sort of how we've got there in the last few years.
Sure. Yep.
So does your, like, with your social and your digital team, like, you're obviously competing on the field as well. How much do your, like, the content guys talk about other clubs and, like, you know, having that competition?
Yeah.
I know Brisbane are the pinnacle because they've got a bigger team. They've always been that way. I know the team at the Bulldogs is smaller, but what they're producing is, like, really high quality. Is that something they pride themselves on? Do they compete?
Oh, there's a lot of competition.
Yep.
Consistency is the key. So they're watching. Everyone's watching. We're being watched. We're watching our competitors. And it's great to see a trend or jump on something, and we're pretty good like that. You'll notice if it's a trend, the Bulldogs will roll it out. But the consistency is the key. So understanding what the fan wants, when they want it, how much of it, because there is too much. And the smarts within our team, I couldn't be happier at the moment. We don't have the biggest team, but we've got a pretty sizable team. I remember coming back to the club, Steve Turner was in our digital team, just merging out into footy. We had 2 people. I think we've got 9 in that team now, it's a little mini production house. Brains, smarts, creative, digital, video, photography. They've got it covered.
It's a new world these days, isn't it?
It is, and it's we're competing with some of our biggest partners, Channel 9, Fox. We're in the same space, and but they're definitely watching the Giants. Anyone else doing something good, we're all over.
And I think the difference between yourself and, like, Channel 9 is you've got that access to your team. I know when we were both at the club previously, Des Hasler was the coach. Access to players was just non-existent.
That was tough.
Something that I've noticed big time in the last couple of years is how, like, accessible the players are. They're in every video, and, like, their personalities are coming out just through a couple of little quick videos. Is that something
Totally. I'm seeing a new side of their personality through some of these videos. Like, I think I know them, and then they've got this finite career, and I'm glad, as long as it doesn't impact their football. And Cameron's the same. Cameron's, and Des had it his way, and Cameron wouldn't say he's the opposite or the same, but he's his own unique beast where he's got trust at the forefront. So he's got a lot of trust with that digital team, and he knows that the guys come in, they don't interfere with training, and they're there to offer a platform for the club and the player. So it's not club only, it's not player only. Often it might be, but overall it's not. The players get to express themselves, and as I said, they surprise me all the time.
It's good fun. Seems like a great place to be around, and I hear that from some of the players we talk to, and culture seems to be a huge thing, something that's changed a lot over the last few years.
100%. There's accountability too. Culture's what yesterday looked like. How'd you feel? What did it look like? The smells, all these things that is the culture of the Bulldogs. And we've got a team, a group of guys and girls and our office staff and our coaches who are just accountable to it and live it. And it's a lot harder than it sounds to live the culture and your behaviours and the Bulldog way that we have. But when you've got leaders across the business who they don't accept anything different, from Stephen to Cameron to Gus, myself, my executive team, we've got leaders throughout the whole business. We've got 75 full-time staff now who there's not many, we wouldn't call them followers. They're all in there, they're doing their thing, they've got a voice, and they know what they're doing.
Fantastic. Now, by the time this episode comes out, we'll be coming into next week's trial against Newcastle, but let's chat about last night's trial against the Cowboys. Yeah. A lot of young guys out there. There's only, a couple of first grade kind of players. Some really good performances from a lot of good young players that got their opportunity. Even a couple of SG Ball age players played in that trial. Did a great job. I think I'll single out a couple of blokes that I thought were really good, and that's Matamua, who's come over from the West Tigers, kind of just getting an opportunity, not on a first grade contract. Yeah. And also AJ Jones, they were both fantastic. And you know what, there are a lot more players we can mention, but I thought those two were two of the best on field, along with young Tiopa in the halves.
Totally. And think about all the guys you mentioned there. They've come from somewhere, right? In the sense of we picked them up, we brought them through, and expectation, particularly in a trial match. So we see a trial match, it's great. We can see what's going on. These guys take it very seriously. It was a challenging one last night where the Cowboys probably had a little bit more experience than we agreed on / thought we were going to be up against, but it's totally fine.
I think they had 7 or 8 players that are probably going to go to Vegas.
That tested them. They probably, Cameron said it. He said that shows you. That's the difference, right? That's a first grade 50, 60 games to trying to crack it in the big league. But we dealt with it. We weathered the storm early. We had some flair, and the guys, you talked about, I guess some of those guys there, but the ones that came on really late for me were probably the most excited, the younger guys all the way through. I'd seen them coming through. Puru from the under-19s Queensland team, I knew he could dance around the field and he sees it 3 plays ahead, but to watch it, someone on the big stage, an NRL trial, it's pleasing, but it's a trial match. It's good we didn't get beaten by 50. We pulled it back, but I think we saw enough there from the second string of forwards that came on. Errors early, brushed it off, turned up and fought all the way
Heads
through.
Didn't drop kind of thing. That seems to be the culture shift in the club in regards to actually playing football.
That's exactly
there seems to be this never die attitude anymore.
Yeah, no, that's right. Last night, obviously all the interchanges, but 80 minutes is you saw it last year with the amount of topsy-turvy games where they're just the swings. We took one of the greatest comebacks of all time down in Canberra, but at that time, if you remember, a game at half time, you're up by 20. It wasn't enough, and that showed last night and these young guys to show that confidence and composure was good. But yeah, it's the doggedness in them, and you look at a connected bunch being that 17. The 40 of them they've spent the whole off season together under Cameron, and they're connected.
Yeah. So speaking of the young guys, I know it was mentioned in the previous weeks. Who was it that came up against Tupanua? Do we know who that was?
Yeah. So AJ Jones, you mentioned there. He's we've been watching him for a little while. He's one of Gus's favourites in the sense of he could be anything.
Been at the club a long time as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. And it took a while for a few people to notice him last night. He lost I think it was a challenge and he's dyed his hair blonde. So it took a while for people to work out who number 11 was, I think he was last night. But he, what was more brutal than last night was the opposed session from a couple of weeks back. Willie, he went, he loved it. It's his bread and butter. And he hasn't been at training for a while. He's focusing a fair bit on the pathways, but he turned up and Tilly, Presto, Harry, the contact was big. I was watching through my hands at some stage.
You could see the emotion when Mason spoke about it. When Willie was, it was.
I'll watch my
never seen
P's
him
and
so
Q's,
excited.
but it was exciting because it was the dark blue team versus the light blue team, and you could call NRL versus New South Wales Cup. There was a bit of crossover, but Tilly was just 120%, and AJ Jones, he wanted to show what he had in the tank, and there was one point ran right over the top of Tilly again. He didn't like that. Ran back, and it was just this. This
is the kind of thing you don't see.
Popcorn.
Fans don't see. It's behind the scenes kind of stuff, but it's what they're doing.
It was really good, and it's and kicks. He was great. Everyone was talking about just, I was surprised the bumps and bruises were sort of all that happened, but it was, they know that at any point now during that 80 minutes, as long as they don't feel as bad as that, it's going to be okay.
Sure. We may as well jump in and chat a little bit about contracts and whatnot in the top 30. So guys like Matamua, extremely impressive, best player on the field last night, I'd say. Was someone like him situated when it comes to actually playing first grade?
Yeah, he's he's outside the top 30, and this is where, like you talk about, I've got the right team around me. Gus he's got a finger on the pulse for 28 and 29 in terms of our salary.
So much planning ahead, isn't it?
There's so much planning, and that was a big part of education for me when he came in and sort of broke down where we were and where we needed to be, but 90% of the conversation was where we're heading and what moves needed to take place here to get everything right in 25, 6, where we are now. And I remember him saying to me specifically, you blink and we'll be there. Yeah. And we've blinked and we're here. So it's fascinating. And there's no rush with a number of those contracts. The guys are very aware. The platform they've got in front of them is exactly what they've been dreaming of for years. So
it's a credit to the club as well, I suppose, that there are so many of these players now. There's actually depth in the club.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we want to take kind of a negative spin on that, we're going to be losing a few guys too. It's just the nature of football, isn't it? Players come and go.
Yeah, new problems. we had different problems 3 years ago. We'll have new problems in 3 years' time, but that'll be a challenge. We pride ourselves, like every club. You don't want to let go of someone you really want. So I think for us, we've got a fair idea of what that roster looks like in 27, but I guarantee it will change because players have even Vegas, where there's a few seats on the plane still. Cameron hasn't picked his 20. I think we're taking 24 in total. They haven't all been selected. So Newcastle next week is going to be important, and that'll be the whole way through the season.
Sure.
You want a jersey, prove it, and again, that's a good problem to have. And then the challenging ones will be keeping everybody. And we put them last night, and next week we'll put them on a pedestal, and everyone will get a look at them.
And it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to pick who you're going to keep and who you're going to let go. And
it is
sometimes it's out of the club's hands. And
opportunities. Josh Curran, you wouldn't meet a nicer guy. He
100%,
works hard.
I know him well. Yeah, he's a good fella.
Family-wise, he couldn't knock that back, and we wish him all the best. And I know he's going to put in this year. He says it every day. He's a Bulldog, and he is for...
Well, I'll tell you what, he came up to the stands and said g'day yesterday when the second trial game was on, and he was sitting to the side with Sean O'Sullivan by himself.
Yeah.
And we were just having a chat, and he was chatting to me, but at the same time he was focusing on the football, and he was actively talking to Sean about, look at the line that player's running for Newcastle because they're coming up against them next week. Look at this player. Look at how...
It's good to hear.
You know, really switched on straight away.
Yeah. We've got a team of students of the game. We didn't have that a number of years ago, and that's okay. We're well aware that a number of NRL players don't watch NRL. I personally find that hard to understand, but it is what it is. And I just know now Cameron's recruited on that base where he can have that dialogue with a player where they just click, and all of a sudden you've got multiple extensions of Cameron on the field because they're talking the same language. It's good to hear Josh is thinking like that, but it doesn't surprise me.
For sure, that's great. And how is the player market different now than it was maybe 5 years ago? Obviously, the Bulldogs' position in the player market now is different. We've got managers and players wanting to come to the club, whereas before we didn't have much of a looking at getting anyone. You had to pay overs kind of thing. It must be obviously a pat on the back for yourself and guys like Gus and the team around you. Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's everyone's pulled together to build the Bulldogs that you see today. Fans, obviously people with inside the four walls, but it is what it is because of a huge effort from everybody. And that's exactly right. We're getting players sussing out, have we got a spot? What are we thinking roster management wise? Very different to, say, 4 years ago when, we missed a number of targets. And you mentioned around having to overpay at times. It's a challenging time. Clubs go through that cycle. We never want to be there again because you feel like you're going backwards at a rate of knots to go just a little bit forward. But, the market at the moment, in a perfect world, we bring them all through. The likes of P&G coming into the competition and the Bears, definitely shaking it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And... I think it's a good thing. I think I'm one of the guys in the camp of we have a lot of talent. We've just got to unleash them, the right training methods from the top down within clubs. Some clubs are very top heavy, but if we can get where coaching mantras at the top level filter down to pathways, give it 2-3 years, we're going to bring a lot of talent through.
Sure.
It's going to be a big comp when P&G comes in 28.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a lot of talk now about. Players leaving the Bulldogs to go to these teams or other teams. We've seen it with Josh going to Perth.
Yeah.
But obviously there are some big names coming off contract soon that you guys are already planning for, whether you want to keep them, whether you don't, whether you can't afford to keep them. It's obviously a really hard puzzle to put together, but I'm going to throw a name at you like Matt Burton. Obviously he's in the media almost every week now. Who's he linked to? Where's he going to go? Matt Burton might leave the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
How are the club positioned in keeping these guys, and anything you can tell us about guys like Matt?
Well, we heard that rumour, and I'll call it a rumour, that where it first reared its head, I won't name the source, but it was completely false. It was a hunch, and it was I'd spoken to someone, and that became a story, and to the point where we had to speak to Matt and say, Matt, we don't know where this is coming from. We'll tell you right now, you're a Bulldog, and it was as simple as that.
Yep.
Then over time, it started bubbling around the Perth Bear. They've got big checkbooks. Matt's a Bulldog. He plays a very important role, and that's that. If you know what I mean.
Sure.
You work through this season like every roster. You're looking at, like I mentioned, you're working 3-4 years ahead. But he's a talented kid, right? Too similar to Josh, where there's opportunities. It's a challenging beast, and Gus will build the list. Cameron will pick the team. It doesn't get much more simple than that.
Yeah.
But underneath the curtains, it's pretty full on. So managing all that. understanding that there's not just competitive teams, there's two more full blank rosters that we compete with. And Matt Burton just gets the headlines.
Yeah.
Every team has 3 or 4 players that are ripe for the picking who could go and get more money. And depending on where they are in their career, their family situation, they'll go left, right, stay. It's going to be a watch this space just across the league when it comes to player movement.
And it's a hard puzzle, as I said, and retaining those core guys, Matt Burton, whether he's going to stay or not, targeting marquee signings or just backing development, it's got to be the right mix. But where do you see the Bulldogs situated moving forward to 27? I know 26 hasn't even kicked off yet, but we're obviously playing towards 27, 28, even 29. Where are we situated as a club? What's the approach going to be? Is it going to be a mix? Are we looking at another marquee player, or does it really just depend?
Yeah, there's no talk of a marquee player, and that's because there's not many of them floating around. However, what we can control is our pathways program, and I mentioned this, is it probably halfway through last year, where we made this simple decision to, like, we can bring a number of kids into our club, and we do, but we really focused on key areas, so halves, props, where we were underrepresented a number of years back. And it's amazing when you have 2 or 3 years of focus of that, what that produces. So now it's just, and they're still young, they're not exposed to NRL, but now a number of them have had that off season. Again, you don't want to fast forward. You want to really appreciate what you need to go through, but give it another off season of just, again, doubling down on what works, moving away from what doesn't, and a marquee player pops up, we'll look at him. It's as simple as that. But it's not like we need to go and headhunt a marquee player right now. And news breaking recently of a marquee player trading clubs. It happens, but you can go a year without movement, or even talk of movement.
There's always so many rumours, but the Payne Haas one that just dropped this afternoon, he's off to the Rabbitohs next year.
Yeah.
That came out of nowhere. Yeah. Absolutely nowhere. So
always talk of him wanting to get to Sydney. But yeah, that one, rugby league.
Exactly right. A game that keeps on giving, isn't it? And I think it's reassuring to the fans that we've got that reassurance that the club's in a good space with our planning of rosters for the next several years, because we were never in that. Even as just a few seasons ago.
Yeah, that's right.
It was kind of all up in the air, but now it seems like there's a real clear plan.
Yeah, and there's no guarantees. We build that plan out that we think is going to work for us at this time. And the buy-in, as I said, the character of a junior coming through is as important as the talent. I wouldn't say more or less, but there's no point having one without the other, particularly when it'll get to a point where the character will be tested from physical, mental, whatever it is, and just the buy-in of what you need to be a Bulldog. So that's from Josh Jackson and those guys working at that level. Mentioned Willie, where you got to sort of get through a couple of gates before you are a Bulldog, and then there's still a long way to go. So there's a lot of those kids coming through.
Fantastic. Let's chat. New logo. Very brand.
Proudly wearing it on my chest. It might be on your back of that.
There's a few
That's
of
on
them
your
around.
sleeve.
Yeah, mate, look, I think it's an absolutely fantastic logo. It's modern, and we were talking earlier about the change around personnel at the club when it comes to the platform, social media, the way of the digital world. Perfect logo for it, strong, fierce, looking forward. Aaron, you designed the logo, and a lot of work went into it. A lot of people probably don't realise how big of a process it is. Maybe you guys can just chat about that process, when it started, how it happened, and then we might jump into more of why we came to this design.
Yeah, so logo design within the NRL, it's a bit of a process in terms of the timing. So the next time someone could release a logo would be 2028, because they need that that timeline. So if someone wanted a logo for 2027, the deadline's passed. So there is a bit of a lead up to that, and that's more so thinking about the licensees, the products, and what they have to get rid of from the previous logo. But in terms of the process for this particular logo, I think we first chatted about it in 2021, and that was just about putting the feelers out there to see what a new potential Bulldogs logo could look like. And the one that we see here, that's the new logo now, certainly didn't start that way. There was a lot of concepts thrown on the table. So I think, in terms of what we went through to get to this point, it's certainly not something that happened overnight. It's definitely not something that was targeted towards Vegas or America, which seems to be a little bit of a narrative out there that clubs are changing to suit going over to Las Vegas. But as I said, we started talking about this quite a few years ago. Similar with Manly, they debuted their logo in Vegas as well. And
which you also designed, yeah?
Yeah, and then a lot of the people were like, well, why are we doing this for Americans? But the timeline and the process that the NRL need, it's quite lengthy. So, yeah, there's a lot of back and forth.
A lot longer than I'd predicted.
Yeah.
I've been in the game for 20 odd years, and when we started having that chat, you said, well, if we're going to have that conversation now, you're a year and a bit away. And yeah, we submitted the current logo that you see now 18 months before it launched in October last year. So knowing our 90th year anniversary was coming up was a really clear line in the sand for us. Knowing that we love the heritage logos. Well, we went in 80, 75, 70, the 50-year one I still see around. Like they're really symbolic logos. So for us, it was around sort of catapulting out of 90 years, that last decade before 100, and having this bold new logo that, and the fans talk about feedback. We gathered a lot of feedback without directly saying, hey, we're changing a logo. Tell me which one you like, A, B, C, or D.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can never have a fan vote.
There wasn't a fan
split.
It was, but we discussed from my level at board level around how we're going to go about this, and it was seek and gather, and then do almost our research outside, domestically, globally. And you mentioned it, digital. 92% of the year we're not playing footy. How are we representing ourselves? How are we engaging, and how are we growing? And this Bulldog, I talk to all the time, and we wear it proudly, and we see a lot more of it. The first logo in 90 years, even having the chat with Willie and Braith and James Graham, their face when I said, this is the first logo that looks you in the eye. I was like, no, it's this one. No, and they go, it doesn't. And it's this, and the current logo represents 40-odd% available space as a Bulldog. This one's 98. What do you mean? And just talking through why and how, and just being a bit bold, because we made a decision. We're going to change it. We're not tweaking it. We're going to make that decision. The process was thorough. And you're right. How many renditions did we see?
Yeah. There was a lot of back and forth, and like the board got involved. I think Gus got involved. Ciro got involved. Yeah.
We had them all.
Yeah.
And then people, like some of the comments were,
Yeah, let's play a game. Guess that comment.
We looked.
Which were your favourites?
We I spoke to Aaron a few days before it launched, and I said, how prepared are you guys for?
I had my gridiron helmet on, actually,
for the backlash.
For the backlash.
And sure. that's what comes with any rebrand, whether it's sport or whatever. But I kind of joked about, we need a bingo card, and we put it up there with, who designed this? Is this done on Microsoft Paint? Did someone put this in ChatGPT? And we were ticking them off.
My daughter. I saw that a few times.
My daughter could do this, and she's only 3. So they all came out.
If she's
They all came out, and we kind of expected it. And I think that made it a little bit easier for me to take, like as a big Bulldogs fan, putting something like that out there to cop the criticism in a world like social media that we know is super negative.
And it would have affected you mentally, surely, your mental health.
And
it's hard not to.
I could be prepared for it. And, I spoke to my wife about it. I'm like, this stuff's going to come out. Like, it happened with the Manly logo. Manly logo I was a little bit more removed from, because I'm not a Manly fan, and I wasn't targeted with my algorithm with Bulldogs fan pages everywhere. But yeah, like a lot of the comments were throwaway comments, and I knew they were coming. So the club knew they were coming. We knew that
the negative voices are always the loudest.
And that's the thing. The ones that I took on the most were people in the industry, whether it's the sporting industry or the branding and design industry. I had people I've never met before send me messages about it, and listening to those people as opposed to people who were putting throwaway comments out there. And not everyone has to like the logo. Like, I understand that there's people out there who are tied towards a logo that they grew up with, and that's totally fine. And I can understand some of the arguments around why didn't we just keep what we had. And there's a lot behind it. Like we mentioned, digital. The previous logo with the shield, it had a shield. It had the chevrons behind the Bulldog. It had CB 1935 in a little black box at the bottom. It had Bulldogs up the top, which is great. It celebrates the history, but in terms of sizable, visibility in the digital space, it was kind of lacking in that regard.
Sure.
But yeah, a few comments were thrown out. The good one was, we should have got the person who did the 90 years logo to make our logo. What's going on? And I was like, I'd like to follow us back, but it's all kind of, dwindled down a bit now. Seeing people wearing it out there.
And Aaron can probably chime in here and tell us about that, because I'm sure merchandise sales, you said before, are kind of through the roof. They're increased. And
they were. We didn't predict them to be this big. So we always knew, after a huge year last year, so 1,500% up from 2021 to 25. A lot of merchandise was sold last year. So we were cautious, yeah, it's going to go up a little bit, but we're up 27% in the first few months of the year. So particularly when like not everything's dropped, we've still got a huge winter drop to come.
Yeah.
We've got, I think we've only released 2 of our 5 jerseys, so there's just a lot to come. So to be there, and Christmas was good, always is, but then January just kept going with the Vegas range. And yeah, look, it's commercially is always a driver. We need to make money to invest and be a bigger and better club, but when you see the physical nature of someone wearing this, particularly when I was reading the same comments, and I remember you said to me, get ready, and we sort of went, yeah, change is difficult. You put change out there regardless. But then, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't just change it. We gave it, it's a new face of the Bulldogs. But I'm just so, like even talking at the AGM today, people that liked it, didn't like it. And I said the same as you don't have to like it, but it will grow on you. It's the Bulldogs logo, and the kids that grew up with something in particular got the tattoo, whatever they did and what it meant to them through going with their family or winning premierships. This thing already, it's literally 3 months old of a 91-year-old club.
Yeah.
So give it time, and it's pleasing to see the numbers, but I can't just, we're going to win games in it. We're going to hopefully do a lot more than that.
Speaking of games, I mean, I first really thought, wow, this is going to work when I saw that away jersey in the trial last night.
It
good. Just popped. The away jersey was fantastic. Going back to that, reversal of the home and seeing the Bulldogs sitting on there, it was so noticeable, especially sitting way back in the grandstands. You could see it a lot more. Yeah. You could see it up on the big screen.
I noticed the big screen. It's twice as clear. That was a challenge. And we'll never diss a logo. And I spoke to Max, who you know well, who designed the 2010 logo before it launched and even after. And that was the challenging part. Because of the nature of it, it's used 99% of the time not on a jersey.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere else, from papers to the big screen at Cogra to the tiny little Instagram logo. And it works so well across every platform that hopefully on the back of just the growth on all those platforms, it's more recognisable. Yeah. Andrew Voss said it when he was reading the negative comments to me. He said, it's a Bulldog. Like it's a Bulldog. You see it as a Bulldog.
Yeah.
You don't have to go looking for the intricate details of a blue and white crest and a dog taking up a small amount. So
I think, when it gets cropped, particularly around the eyes, and I think down at Belmore Sports Ground, it's quite prominent on the front entry. But yeah, seeing it now out in the wild with different usages and the way people are using it.
In the wild.
Yeah,
I love that.
out in the wild. Kids wearing it and on the different merch. And I was going to touch on like the merch range and how you guys have seemed to go a little bit away from just blue and white. Like blue and white, obviously, your jersey's always going to be blue and white, but I've noticed some of the range, you're playing around with some purples last year, and then there's some teal in a jersey that's kind of been leaked that the players have been wearing recently for opposed sessions. So getting away from blue and white obviously is not going to be something you do for your traditional stuff, but is that something you guys are looking at in your training gear? And
we are. It was a couple of years ago when we started bringing the purples through, and we saw our competitors, the teals, the apricots, all the different colours coming through in what is a very traditional club at the Bulldogs. So to say no to it would be prohibiting growth, but at the same time, like you mentioned, the home jersey, the away jersey, they're always blue and white. The alternates might move a little bit from black jerseys to sort of new theme jerseys, whatever they are. But our training range does give us that ability to add a little bit of flair, and whenever we do it, it's adopted really well, particularly from the youth who are sort of coming in and wanting something a little bit different than what they've got, a bit more of a street range, jeans, chinos, like really mixing it up as opposed to a jersey. And saying that the whole market last year had 43,000 Bulldogs jerseys sold. We've never seen a number like that. We sold 21,000 of them by ourselves. And so to have 30% growth on what, new logo, but the risk of what we were reading, no one's going to buy this, why would we buy it? To then bring in, if we said, Bulldogs going to release a teal jersey, the comments would be, no one's going to buy it and we'll sell out. So it's depending which line you're reading. But we're open to it. It's not a given. We like being a traditional club, but we appreciate we've got to evolve.
And part of that evolving and that part of that evolution, I should say, is probably taking the step of going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Very excited,
that's evolving,
obviously.
That's for sure. Yeah, it was amazing. When it first reared its head, everyone, like any idea Peter has, it's wow, it's big. And 9 out of 10 are delivered. So we sort of went, this one could be that. And then 3 weeks later, we've got a CEO's conference over in Vegas. And it was
That
it
must have been
took
tough.
it took off. Yeah, I know.
Feel for you, mate. How'd you get through that?
Just had to do some research on the ground, and funny enough, then came back and went, geez, it was good. Like it was very good. And then the decision was we weren't ready for year 2. Like we weren't. But having Gus and Adam over there at the start of 25, I'm getting track of years at the moment, but 25, and I didn't say a thing, and they came back and went, all right, we're in. And it was time for the club, and yeah, it's a new playing field, but it's there's a lot of, funny enough, rugby support over there.
Yeah.
And it's the only place in the world I don't correct people. I don't hit
Rugby,
with rugby league.
yeah.
It's like, yep, we're rugby and come along and watch us. So it's
like
exciting. I can't wait.
Do you think, like I know the NRL released the schedule recently with Bulldogs being the 8:30 time slot over there. Do you think they've done that because there's more Bulldogs fans there? They're probably more likely to hang around till 8:30 as opposed to putting them on earlier and then everyone.
Yeah, we'll get there early because we're going to have that huge fan march across from it's the MGM across the road, but the House of Blues. So we're thinking around 2,000 fans.
Yep.
They're going to be led by Terry Lamb and Josh Reynolds across. But we're going to leave to get there before the first game. So we'll be there as a supporter group. They'll be there at the end, and it's that and the time slot for Channel 9 too. So for them to have that primetime game with all the eyeballs that we saw last year, the audience doubles. You get 2 million eyeballs, and what a way to kick the season off! Like really to put it on. And I know that our competing sports are watching it, not understanding what we do, but going, it's a bit annoying that they're taking all the eyeballs and the headlines. And look, it keeps them honest, and they'll do something big and scary and audacious. But Peter's continually getting the leg up on him, which is good to see.
Yeah, and obviously everyone's really excited. We've got a couple of new recruits as well. Obviously, Leo Thompson, he's settled in really well. I believe he's really done some work on his fitness, and he's looking primed.
He's looking good. He didn't play the other day in the opposed session. He's in the All Stars team. Yeah. Coming up too, so I know he's looking forward to that. I had a quick chat with him last night. He's looking like Leo Thompson's looking. He's looking scary, which is good, right? He comes in and he's got even just his rapport that he's got with the players already. It's just nice to see. He's straight in. Obviously, Adam O'Brien comes across too as our assistant coach, who worked closely with him at Newcastle, and it's between him and then some of the younger kids coming up. Fletcher Baker brought some size to the pack last night, so from development to an international prop. It's good to see some new faces.
And Latu Fino as well, I believe, fit in really well. He's looking great.
Yeah, he's for him last year, he looked great from the day we got him. It's just he couldn't. His recovery,
bit of injury,
from his ACL,
he's got another injury now.
Yeah, he's got his little hand in. It won't be too bad. He'll keep his fitness up. He'll still be able to train. But again, it shows the depth. If someone comes in, someone goes out. This new 6-man bench will be interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't know how we're going to play it. I don't think it'll be any different, if I'm honest, but I'm not.
Just needs a couple of extra guys. Maybe can go over to Vegas.
A few good points around NRL fantasy and then how it's going to affect that, and even things like debuts. Like you get a player number right when you debut. If someone's on that extended 6-man bench with a player number that they don't actually end up debuting, there's things like that I don't think have really been thoroughly thought about.
It'll be mind games too. Will a coach pick the 5th and 6th player knowing they're going to run them and vice versa? But like the narrative of rugby league doesn't surprise me that one got through. Knowing that they probably threw the kickoff one up there just to smoke some mirrors.
Possibly.
Won't get that one, and we'll get all these other ones in. But the game has evolved on the back of some rule changes. I know that's one thing that we do better than some of our other opposing codes, but I think there's a limit too.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously all the players are really excited to get over there. It's great exposure for the club, great exposure for the game.
Huge number
they
of them.
Understand
first time travelling. A number of them obviously first time to Vegas. They're all flying business class over there. So they're there for business. Like you get off, hopefully they're well rested. We've got a number of, they're men, but there's a number of rules around what we are and aren't there for in terms of getting into Vegas early enough where they'll have a team event on the first night. They'll enjoy Vegas throughout the day on the second day, and then it's business. Like it's a normal week of training from the Sunday, Monday, all the way through. They'll have their day off midweek, and so we'll try and replicate it the best we can on the other side of the world.
And they all obviously understand that it's not a holiday.
Oh, completely. And you look at the incidents happened last year with the Raiders, like not the crime of the century, but it got all the headlines. So it's just that's the little warning shot saying guys. And the NRL's been really good around. They're going to a different part of the world where there's different rules, different law enforcement, different all kinds of things. Make sure you look the other way when you're crossing the road. The basics,
Absolutely.
We've done it all. So we've got them into a number of groups, and our staff, a number of them are going, and we've got buddy systems and check-ins and all kinds of things sorted. So short of me putting air tags on everyone, I think we'll be okay.
That's all right. You'll have the main security man over there, won't you?
We've got a few.
Yeah.
And the local ones.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm sure they're all looking really forward to it.
Yeah.
Mate, before we maybe end the show, I believe you brought us a little gift.
I did. When you said, bring a gift in, we'll leave it on set.
Yeah, just something to decorate the set.
I thought I could actually start decluttering, but I actually brought you something pretty cool.
They're not Vegas tickets.
I'm going to have to replace it because I liked it. But no, it's my little mate. He looks over me most days, and he's wearing my tie from the AGM.
For those that maybe be listening on the podcast apps and not watching on YouTube, it's an old school porcelain bulldog. It looks a little bit like Gus.
I can pretend he's heavier than he is, but he's not light, and I wouldn't drop him because I don't know what you'll get on the other side.
Anatomically correct, I see.
Yeah,
yeah, that's great.
And
what's he wearing?
He's wearing my tie from the AGM. So the first issued tie of the year goes on this guy to show that you guys mean business whilst you're talking about all the.
I really appreciate that. That is fantastic. That's a wonderful.
No, it was a pleasure to bring in. Hopefully, he finds a home on the set.
I think it will. Yeah, it'll be a permanent stay here.
There you go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Pleasure coming in. Wish you nothing but success on this program, and if I could be of any support, the club's behind it. And thanks for having me in, fellas.
Really appreciate it. Look, that's Pack Mentality. Big thanks to Aaron, my co-host, and also Aaron Warburton, Bulldog CEO. Just remember, have your packs back, speak to your mates, reach out, stay strong, and stay connected. Check on your mates, and go the Bulldogs. We'll be back again. Plenty more episodes to come this year, and see you next time. Thank you very much.